Dude, I can't believe 2026 is right around the corner. It's unbelievable how fast this year has gone. I'm sure you feel the same way. I mean, it's constant stuff, right? You're doing all the things. You've got business, you've got sales, you've got family stuff, you got all the things. But I think it's a really cool time to talk about people going into 2026 who may be W-2 employees, or they have a side hustle, or they've got a business of their own. And like, what are the business trends going into 2020? Like, what's a great business to start going into 26? I think there's a lot of confusion around AI and like, if I were to start a business, what would be good? And is it going to be taken over by all the robots? And so I thought it would be a cool episode to kind of just highlight some of the trends that I've been seeing. I've been reading some Forbes articles and others that hit my email inbox, and, you know, all of that type of stats and analytics and whatnot are coming out. And, so just kind of recapping some of those industries, and then maybe share some of our own personal, what we've seen. I know I work in the small business space every single day. And so I see clients starting new businesses and creative businesses, which is really neat. And that kind of what prompted the topic today was, hearing from clients and what their plans are going into the new year. You good with this one?
I love it. I think it's great because, the whole point of this podcast is to pass on the things that are landing for us, so that we find insightful and send the listeners down a direction. There've been a couple of really good podcasts about this recently, just with where the market's going, and can give the entrepreneurial spirited listeners a little direction on where they might be able to explore.
Yeah, for sure. So let's kick it off. I may be biased. Obviously, it's my wheelhouse being in the payroll industry, but professional services are still going to be a game changer business. Like, they're still always going to be around, whether it's payroll, HR type of services, whether it's accounting is a big one. These types of professional services, especially for small businesses, right? Like, small businesses may be tired of not having someone to talk to. They need a person, and they need a service that's going to offer streamlined approach, so they can just do what they do best, which will, maybe it's in the field if you're an HVAC person or whatever, right? And so professional services are one of the biggest, and still have been a long time, great industries. If you're going to start a business, working with small businesses, B2B sales, B2B growth in professional services, whether it's accounting, payroll, HR, bookkeeping, things like that, are huge. Now, you don't need to go to school for payroll. You don't need to go to school for bookkeeping. You don't need to go to school for HR stuff. There's certifications for sure, but accounting, yeah, you probably need to get licensed and you need to get your accountant, become CPA. A CPA. Yeah, get a sort of. You don't want to just be out there willy-nilly start doing accounting for people. But accounting firms would be a great business to acquire, right? So if you got capital and you're looking at what can I. Or maybe you're going to look at seller financing, or maybe you're going to have a group of people, partners that you can raise capital from. And like, what's a good business to acquire? And accounting firms are always at the top, because these guys always have business. People don't know numbers. Small businesses definitely don't want to touch numbers, and they want to make sure that the IRS isn't going to knock on their door. So it's a great opportunity, a golden opportunity, in my opinion, that accounting firms are going to be highly sought after for years to come. Now, AI, the rise of AI, yeah, there's accounting technology, but that's just going to streamline your internal operations. People still want to talk to the accountant. They still want to talk to the person about 100%.
Ideas. You still need the trust of a human being in a relationship to give you that comfort of, yes, my AI did not hallucinate. This is the tax code. I didn't just, take... Even if it's specific accounting software, I didn't take its word for it. It needs to be reviewed. It's making those accountants more efficient. And I'm glad you brought this up, because they were just talking about how with AI, it's making, like, using accounting as an example, the big four are not able to do hourly billing now. It doesn't, they can't, they are working faster, but because of their efficiency, billing by the hour doesn't work. They're having to go to kind of outcome-based or performance-based billing structures, which I thought was really interesting. I hadn't thought about that yet.
Yeah, that is interesting. And it's funny, you see Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank. You ever seen his ads? Like, you're not on social much, not as much as I'm on there, but there'll be ads about, he's heavily invested in the accounting world. Like, he's like, there's an ad, it literally says, like, don't like your CPA, call us, kind of thing. and he's buying into these opportunities. So you look at those things and you see these ads, and it almost kind of gives you an idea of where some of these heavy multi-millionaire wealthy people are putting their faces on, and like where the industry and the shifts are going. But speaking of AI, that's a whole nother game. If you know AI and you understand it, and you know how to automate and build workflows, and you know how to leverage this ever growing technology and build chat bots and things like that for small businesses, most small business owners are clueless. They have no clue how to use AI. So that is a great segue into, I can streamline internal operations buying a business like an accounting firm. But if I know AI, maybe I don't even want to buy the accounting firm. Maybe I just want to be an AI consultant. And that's a great startup business. You don't have to acquire anything. You are a skilled, whether professional or not, there's no certification. But if you know what you're doing and you know how to build these workflows out, and you can build a relationship with a small business owner, that is a great freelance business to start. It's a great side hustle if you're a W-2 employee and you know these things. You could talk to anybody and do this stuff on the weekend, at nights or whatever, and build out their whole operation, whether it's sales funnels, answering phones, scheduling, all that stuff.
I have a buddy that's doing this right now. I believe you met him. I don't want to put him on blast just yet because he started this. It's totally changed. He built it for his own business, which was not AI related. And then he kind of cracked the code and was enjoying it so much. He helped one person. Now he's pitching this to a lot of, again, small to mid-sized businesses, and it's off to the races because he's become an expert. He had no idea. He didn't know it was coming. So you want to talk about a pivot. It's pretty cool to see. We, once I get clarification, we should have him on. You were talking about certifications. And I think one of the things that we're hearing a lot lately too, and this doesn't have to necessarily be entrepreneurial, but it most definitely can be, is the trades. Right now, with everything moving to being battery powered, there are a shortage of electricians, there's a shortage of plumbers, and that's making the prices high as well. So there is a ton of ability there to be best in breed in the trades and really build a nice income and scalable income if you do it right.
Dude, I'm so glad you brought that up. There's I don't know the stats around it, but electricians are like the number one trade that everyone is talking about in the business world, that, the things that I listen to and read, of the biggest booming skill set that you can get with all the technology. But not only that, but just the EV stuff, like the battery powered stuff, the solar, everything that you need to run your house. I think electrician, if you can get into a skilled trade, electrician is definitely at the top. That and HVAC, really anything that's home service based, but HVAC and electricians, those guys you need them. You have to have them. Right.
And the technology is changing. When you talk about continuing education, there are current electricians that are being edged out of deals, especially when you get into high-end homes, that are wanting smart technology and more modern upgrades that some electricians are kind of learning on the fly. So a real way you can separate yourself in that market, and definitely something to explore if you have any interest in it at all.
Well, and if you're already in the field, like if you're a tech and you're working for somebody already and you're like, oh man, I don't know. And you're like nervous about it, like it's not going anywhere, but maybe 26 is like the time you make the jump. You'd say, hey, I think I could do this on my own. Like I've got the skill set. Like I think that's one of the best approaches to starting any business, is like, if you're in the industry, you learn from someone else, you get in, you learn the ins and outs of how things operate, start asking all the questions of like, not just your job, but the overall operation of the business. Prepare yourself if you have these entrepreneurial dreams, and then go take the leap. You can grow your business. You build a website and you go to BNI networking groups and you start talking to people, and then they know, like, and trust you. And all of a sudden now you're building a little something for yourself, and find like a niche neighborhood and start local. And it doesn't have to be big, but these recurring type of businesses, especially like pool services, pest control, landscaping, all of these guys, this whole home service space, it's recurring revenue too. A lot of them, like HVAC and electrician, I get, maybe there's some maintenance plans and things like that, but the only thing you're competing against for like a pool company or pest control is the next guy next to you. So do you offer better service? Pool companies, you're probably competing with the DIYers, the ones that are. So how do you build, if you're a pool company owner, it's just another segue into how do you build an ancillary service or business that parlays your current service? Like maybe it's replenishing pool chemicals for the DIYers and offering educational services while you're serving your customers over here, the ones that are wanting to do this themselves. Like, okay, well, I'm going to have another side gig here where I can build out offerings for them. It's kind of
called going up vertical. Isn't that the term?
Exactly.
Like the ancillary. Yeah.
So I think you're right. The trades, I'm so high on them. There's a lot of people. I mean, we read a lot about Cody Sanchez and others that, even Cardone. You've seen Cardone's like heavy into trying to acquire big HVACs and things like that. He's moving to HVAC space.
Absolutely.
I just had a client. He's in the home services space. I'm not going to. I think he's in the roofing space, and he just called me up and he's like, "Hey, I'm starting a new gig. We're doing an HVAC business as well." Like a lot of these guys are building a home service umbrella, and if you're already in pest control, now you're starting pools, or now you're starting inspections, or maybe you're already in HVAC, and now you're starting.
You go to 3 to 4 things to sell, build a really strong relationship, deliver on time, and now you've quadrupled your offer.
Exactly. I think if you stay in your lane and you're kind of one directional, like you want to start there, you don't want to be like, okay, I'm going to do a pest control, I'm going to do pool, I'm going to do HVAC, I'm going to do all of it at once. I'm going to pick one, I'm going to grow it, I'm going to build it. And if you're already at that point, what's the next ancillary service I can do? Clevin does this, right? He talked about on the podcast that we had last year. He talked about all the different businesses that he has. It's all tied to the home, real estate and whatnot. So anyway, those are great businesses to look at, and you can acquire those too. Like a pool company. You can acquire a pool
what
route.
I was going to bring up as well, that we're, besides the trades, another option. Speaking of Cody Sanchez, she's not the only one, but there is a mass amount of businesses that are being passed on. The owners, it's the great transition of the boomer generation, that their kids don't want the business. They are prepared. They've prepared themselves for an exit. The business is running well enough to where they can get a good multiple, and it's time for them to pass it on. So you don't have to start it yourself necessarily. Find something that you see value in. It may not be the sexiest business, but you can look for those and have something that's off and running, the cash flow out the gate. And, like you said, you know more about the seller financing option. There's multiple ways to get going. But there's a ton of opportunity in that area as well.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. There is a lot of, it's an insane amount of boomers over the next 10 years that are going to be retiring, and they're just going to shut their doors. Not everyone's going to get bought up, right? They're going to look to sell, and maybe there's not enough buyers. So the opportunity is there for sure. And yeah, you could get a small business loan through the SBA, 50 grand, 100 grand or whatever to kind of get some capital. And then you do the rest seller financing. Like, let's say you find a little pool company that's got a route that's doing $500,000 in revenue, or maybe $300,000 in revenue. It's a great lifestyle business for somebody who wants to get out. Seller financing is basically you agree to the terms of a deal. Like, hey, I'm going to pay you, $1 million for this business, 2x revenue, or whatever the multiples are. And, it's all different based on the industry. But I'm not going to give you $1 million. Like most deals don't get done saying, hey, here's all the cash and you're out and I'm in. It's very much a 5-year deal, a 3-year deal. And it's based off of the revenue that's coming in every single month. And instead of the profit going to the new owner, you're paying the exiting owner off of the profits that are coming in already. So you don't need that large upfront capital. Now, seller financing typically comes with some sort of interest. Some people have been able to negotiate. I know Pace Morby talks about this all the time, negotiating seller financing with 0% interest and 0 down. He's got his methods, and there's ways to do it. But if you're going to acquire a business, I think that's absolutely an attractive play, especially if you've been a high income earner for 15, 20 years, and now you want to throw your hand in the entrepreneurial pond. You've probably got some extra cash and leverage. Even if you have the cash, go get a loan instead. Use someone else's money to go acquire this business through seller financing or SBA loans or whatever. Leverage your assets to get approved for the loan. And then now you've got a full-fledged business. Change up the marketing, change up the internal operations, streamline everything. It's going to be a little bit different in terms of what the retiring person who owns the business is doing versus you kind of maybe younger coming in and understanding marketing and technology or whatever.
And knowing their client base and how they operate and what's made them successful, you'll need to keep parts of that and then grow it and bringing in your new client base.
100%.
While making the business your own. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So one other one that I was thinking about is, dude, have you ever heard of Cinch?
I haven't.
Okay. So Cinch, I think they got bought by propane tank replenish service. So they got bought by AmeriGas. So AmeriGas bought them. Cinch started, it was just all they did was, hey, put your empty propane tank outside your front door and we'll leave you with a full one. So it's like these silly, boring replenish, replace type of businesses.
Subscription based.
Yeah. Everyday replenish type of businesses. So like think like air filters or think like tire rotations or think like just things that you have to do that you don't really want to go anywhere and buy or do, but you know you need them for the house or the car or whatever. And there's a lot of opportunity around building a service that makes it easy for customers that are going to be on a recurring subscription type model. So Cinch did this. They killed it. They basically, you put your propane tank, like I said, out and they replace it. And you're on like every 2 months, or it would just be on demand. Like you just put in an order, almost like call an Uber, and they would come and drop off your propane tank. It was brilliant. And then they got bought out by AmeriGas. So these types of like super boring, doesn't sound fun. There's no real branding to it. It's just replacement items. And I think what comes to mind is a lot of like home goods or auto or, things that you're using around the house all the time. That are just automatic people need. And you offer a great service. You reply refunds if something's defective or whatever. People are never going to leave it. They're just going to stick with you always. And it almost becomes not a burden to sign up for a subscription. It streamlines the product, and you don't even have to think about it. Like, oh, new air filters, time to replace. And then bam, so I think figuring out the logistics of that would be the biggest challenge, but the ideas are abundant. Just look around your house. Like, what do you need every month? And building a business around that is a great way to start something.
And in that same vein, most entrepreneurs or many, especially the hyper successful ones, are finding a problem that they had or that they see
Yes.
in their current environment. And so wherever you are currently building your livelihood, what problems do you see there? Because now more than ever, it's also the easiest time it's ever been to build a software, whether it's an application or online. You don't even need to learn how to code. It's not going to be easy, but if you can find a problem that is recurring, it is easier than ever to get a concept and minimum viable product built out with huge margins.
Absolutely. I think that's the name of the game, though, to be like, look for something recurring, look for something that people need already. You're not creating a brand new idea. You're not creating you're not disrupting an industry per se. I mean, obviously those plays are there, but I'm talking about like, how can we generate an extra $100,000 of your income next year and grow it to maybe $50,000 next year, and then grow it to 250. And, now you've got instead of a side hustle, you've got something going, and it's all going to come from everyday stuff. Like, those are the winners. AI is going to be taking over the world. It's all that people are going to think about. Leverage it internally in your business, but you offer an amazing refill, replenish, service, recurring model that you can use AI to streamline and keep margins and labor down. And you just focus on what you can control. I think those are big winners. The last thing I'll say is, what are you already skilled in, right? So like your buddy who is like, hey, I've done this for a while. Like, maybe I start offering it to others. Like, that's brilliant. That's a great side hustle. You can build a business on the weekends and nighttime or whatever, and generate 10, 15, 25, $50,000 of extra income by just charging people. Maybe it's building a website for small businesses. Hit them up and be like, hey, notice your website. I can do this for you. It'll be X number of dollars. And then you build that out, and now you're generating some income without leaving the comfort of your home. Yeah. And I think those are really good ideas too, to start thinking about, is like, what do you already know how to do, and how can you fill the gaps for those that don't? So I think those are all great ideas.
Great discussion. Shoot us a note, listeners. What are you thinking about? What's your big idea? We'll sign NDAs if we need to, but let us know what you're thinking about. What skills are you looking to grow, if nothing else, next year? What are you going to create as we look to a 26 with a ton of opportunity with all the resources we have with us.
All right, that's it.
Yep.